welcome to this new episode of the Penciled In Podcast. Consider supporting the podcast if you wish. Even a few dollars a month will help Lindsey and I keep going. We do this out of the on our spare time, so if you feel like dropping us a dollar or two, it would be much appreciated. Today, we are going to interview Lak Lim, longtime participant in the milieu of sketch cards. He's a full-time freelancer, and I'm really glad to meet you after all these years together. Yes, we're going all the way back to Scoundrel again. Welcome aboard, Lak.
Yeah, it's nice to finally meet you guys in face to face. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. I think we're going to start how we usually start. I'd like to know about how you got into art. Was it always from from all the way from your childhood? Have you always drawn?
I think I've always drawn. The first thing I could remember was in kindergarten when they have you draw the hand on the clay. Remember? I don't know if you guys do that in England,
Draw
but
around.
yeah, you draw
Yeah.
around the hand, and that's the my first memory of drawing. But I've always drawn since then, I guess. I started with like Godzilla and all that. That was popular back then, Godzilla and all the kaijus and stuff. And then Transformers and Robotech came along, and I started drawing robots. And around junior middle school is when I started drawing people. I started getting into comic books, so I wanted to draw superheroes. But at first, I just drew big buff guys because I didn't want to draw the clothes. That to me that's what superheroes were. So from then I just started drawing more and more comic book related things.
Your style, from what I've been looking at, it's really awesome, and it's like classic comic book style with your shadows and everything, and like you say,
Thank
with the
you.
big bulging muscles, and so
Yeah, I love drawing big guys. I mean,
I've
I didn't go to school for it. When I studied anatomy, I used to look at books, and I used like muscle magazines. But one thing I realized was the guys on the muscle magazines, they're always flexing, which isn't a normal state. So
yeah.
when you draw them, they don't look natural. I mean, they don't look normal. So what I did was I used to play basketball a lot, and I would study people when I wasn't playing. I would look at how the muscles react when people run and jump and things like that. Muscle contracts, and I understood by watching people, and I put that into my drawing. So understanding how things work makes it so much easier to draw
Yeah.
because then things become like a puzzle. I could draw a character in almost any position I want uh, through memory
Hmm.
because I kind of figured out how uh, the body parts attach. It's a puzzle to me.
So
Well,
you
yeah, move depending on what position you're in, and obviously if you've taught yourself all that, that's amazing. It's really hard work to learn anatomy in the beginning, isn't it?
Yeah, what I notice is most people when they start, there's the same static drawing of a person, and then you'll see them draw the abs, and they all look the same. It's all crunched in the middle of the torso. But yeah, I just looked at it as puzzle pieces, and it made it a lot easier to learn. And I could pretty much put a human figure in most positions without any reference.
So did you do a lot of practice with forced perspective and things like that?
I
Comic book.
started working on that after I got into comic books. Um,
Tell us,
and
actually, go back and tell us how you first got into comic books.
uh, it was the Transformers. Uh, I grew up with the Transformers, and the comic books came out, and I just started buying Transformers comic books, and then I got into the X-Men. I think is because of my favorite comic book artist, Arthur Adams.
Mm.
Uh, he's like my number one as far as artist goes. And I saw a cover of his. I think it was Heroes for Hopes, a charity book, but his drawing was so amazing. I started picking up X-Men books because he used to draw a lot of covers for the X-Men. So I started following the X-Men, and I've been an X-Men fan ever since.
So comic books really, really left a mark on you as for giving you the wish to become an artist.
Yeah, yeah. And comic books actually helped me improve my English. Um, like comic books aren't made for kids, really. The they have, yeah, the storyline and everything is not for little kids unless it's a kid's title. But I had to look up words that I didn't know what it meant, so it forced me to go to the dictionary and look it up. I mean, back then we had to go to an actual dictionary. It's not a phone
The
where you
old
could just
days.
Google it real quick. So yeah, it helped me with my vocabulary. I wasn't born here, so
You are in the
but I
US,
was
right?
here since I was an infant.
You
But even still, because uh I wasn't around Americans as much because the community I live in is Asian people. So um, the comic books helped me um, better my English.
That's awesome. So, where were you born?
Okay, so I'm Chinese, but I was born in Cambodia, and
Okay.
it was during the war. So I'm a refugee.
Wow.
So from what I heard, because I have no memory of it, I was an infant or very little. We escaped from a camp, concentration camp, basically. Uh, the older people decided to take the boat out the river, sneak out at night, and what happened was, as we were leaving, the soldiers found out. They came shooting. My father got shot in the knee,
Oh,
and we think, we're not sure, my oldest brother either died or got away. We haven't been able to find out.
oh God.
um we
That's
drifted in the river for a while, going through small uh not islands, but little areas of
awesome.
uh land that we could get on. And they said we drifted into the ocean, and a Thai fisherman found us, brought us to Thailand, because Cambodia and Thailand is right next to each other. And we stayed at a refugee camp in Thailand for a year before we came to the United States. We came to the United States in Los Angeles and got adopted by a Christian family that, like, they hosted us for about a year. We lived in Missouri, and my mom couldn't take the weather, the difference in weather, because all of a sudden there's snow. You're coming from a hot, humid country, and all of a sudden there's snow, and she couldn't take the cold. So we moved back to Los Angeles because there's a big Asian community there. And actually, most of the people in the area are people from the Cambodia that we knew. So it wasn't like we were around strangers. There was a community of people we already knew.
Wow.
What a story that is. And it's very haunting what you're saying, actually, especially even now, things like this are happening. It's my goodness. So that's a lot for you to come through, even if you don't really
Well, the thing is, I have no memory of it.
know. But still, it's part of your history.
Yeah.
No, we're so glad you made it.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
actually, I almost didn't
Yeah.
because while we were trying to sneak away, I was crying, and
Oh,
my father was afraid that we were going to get caught. He kind of panicked. He wanted to throw me into the river. So it's like sacrifice me to save everyone
Oh
type
my
of thing.
God.
But from what they told me, my grandmother stopped them and gave me river water to drink
mm.
because I was hungry.
Yeah.
So my grandmother saved my life.
Ooh. I,
Oh, good. I mean, desperate situations like that, crazy, absolutely
Well,
crazy.
you never know how a person reacts to
Mm.
things. You could say if this happened, I'll be like this,
oh, but you
but
never know.
you really don't know
Mm.
until
Uh,
it actually happens.
yeah.
And I mean, for me, I understand it because if if everyone got caught, it was because I cried and the soldiers heard me. You know, I could understand the reasoning and
Mm.
the fear. So I don't have any bad feelings towards that.
No.
I fully understand.
Yeah. And when you're a baby, there's only so much you can understand. But anyway, we're awfully glad you got through all that.
Yeah, I made it.
You've so, but I maybe one day you'll find out news about your brother. That would be nice.
Mm.
Well, they've been searching. They contacted people who are still living there, and we haven't heard anything. So
Yeah.
he's kind of presumed dead just because of the situation. Because
Yeah.
he 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 didn't make it on the boat. He he sort of kept them at bay so that we could leave.
Ugh.
Oh,
Your mother must have had a really hard time. Oh my God.
it's so
Yeah.
kind.
We
Oh,
we got separated with my sisters who
Oh.
instead of coming to Los Angeles, they somehow went to France, and I actually didn't know about them till I was like 21
really?
because as a kid when the older people have their uh reunions or whatever, they talk about things, but kids aren't there to really listen. You're outside playing and stuff. So I had no idea till I was about 21 when they first visited us that I had two more sisters.
How nice. It's like your family grows all of a sudden. That's cool.
Yeah.
I get.
Oh,
Oh, well, so well, we'll bring this a little bit back to sketch cards. Otherwise, I'm going to start crying with all of this. How did you find the world of sketch cards? Was that after comic books?
Yeah, that was way after comic books. So in 2008, I was on DeviantArt,
Mm.
and the art director for Upper Deck at the time was Mark Irwin, who's a comic book inker. anyways, he had a post on DeviantArt asking for people if they were interested on working on the sketch cards, and I had no idea what it was, but I knew it was associated with Marvel, which I'm a Marvel zombie, so I love Marvel. So I was like, oh, cool. It's I could get a job working on something Marvel, and I he basically he requested people send in samples. So, but then when I looked at the actual post, I noticed it was like 2 weeks old. So I was like, it's Marvel. There's gonna be tons of people
Yeah.
submitting for it. So so I was like, well, I'm too late. I didn't send anything. So then about a week later, there was another post, and it basically said, if you're not if your skill level isn't that good enough for it, don't send submissions. So I was like, "Oh, I have a chance." So I
Mm.
sent a submission, and then within an hour, he emailed me back, and I got the job.
Oh, cool. Wow.
Yeah, so I was really excited, and that set was Marvel Masterpiece 3, and they sent me 150 cards, which was like the average back then. But I was so excited. I finished it in a week.
Wow.
But
Cool.
but the thing was, okay, so had I known how the process works, where I would have spent way more time on them. But I was just so happy to just be on the set that I was just drawing real quick, and I was like, "Ooh, get to draw Wolverine, get to draw Wolverine, draw Spider-Man, draw this, whatever." And before I knew it, I was done. And before that, the thing with sketch cards was it made me color,
Mm.
because I assumed, even though at the time you didn't have to color, I assumed you had to color. So
Okay.
I bought Copic markers, and I started coloring. So my coloring wasn't that great back then. Is sort of plain. If you compare my old stuff to the stuff I do now, the coloring's a lot better. It's not, to me, it's still my weakest point, uh, but it's way better than what I started with, which is a good thing, right?
Yeah.
It's tricky if you're not used to using colour. I didn't use colour for the longest time because I grew up drawing with just a biro and scrap paper. I didn't have any colours or, you
Yeah,
know.
and the thing was, back then I had commissions and stuff, and they were 11 by 17. And I was like, whoa, I get to draw on these little cards. And
Did you
it
find it any?
for me, the transition wasn't that hard, because when I first started trying to draw comic books, I thought they drew at actual comic book size. I didn't know they were 11 by 17. So I already was getting used to drawing small. So
Oh,
the
I see. Yeah.
transition wasn't that bad for me,
Hmm.
because most people who get into sketch cards, one of the main things they have a problem with is the transition from big to small. And what usually happens is you get wonky proportions, because they can't see that yet. It
Hmm.
takes you time to get used to the drawing in that size and getting the proportion right. So every time I talk to somebody who wants to get into sketch cards, I tell them, first, get used to the size before you start submitting samples,
Hmm.
because once you're comfortable, then your drawings look more naturally your work, your normal stuff.
Did you have any kind of issues transitioning to larger sizes of work, seeing as you kind of used to drawing a little bit smaller?
No, I mean, I don't really do 11 by 17s unless it's like for a print.
Yeah.
Um, what I mostly do, like when I go to conventions, I would say 95% of my sales is actual commission, on the spot commissions. So I draw a lot at conventions.
How long would you say it takes you to do
Well,
it's just line work with you being live at a Comic-Con?
well, obviously it depends on the detail, but a basic full figure, I could do it within say 45 to an hour.
Okay. Yeah.
So at the conventions, I do about 10, average about 10 commissions for the show
Wow.
or for the day.
For the day. Okay. That's still
Yeah.
a lot. You're busy then.
Yeah. I mean, it used to be I couldn't go to the bathroom till the end of the convention.
Oh,
But
God.
but I decided that's not good for me. It's good to get, it's good for to make the sales, but it is not healthy.
No, no,
Do a
no,
lot
no.
of conventions.
Yeah, I mean there's been times where I'm hurting to go to the bathroom. So now, is if I gotta go, I gotta go. I'm not, the commission could wait.
Yeah.
Usually the people they have no problem waiting anyway. So
Insider information that everyone wanted to know. But yeah,
yeah, bathroom breaks are very important.
they are.
So if you could get somebody to help you at the table, that's worth their admission.
Absolutely.
Do a lot of Comic-Cons and conventions.
There's probably one every other week.
How
And
many
you make
do you
to
do?
get to most of them.
They're like everywhere. Well, the thing is, I don't really go to them that often. It's funny because the first convention I tabled at myself. Before I used to go with a friend, and he'd give me half his table. But then he got he got sort of got too big, where he needed the space,
Mm.
for his items, because he actually works in comic books. So I didn't want to take
No.
any of his space anymore. And he was like, you know what, maybe you should get your own table. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll get my own table. And the funny thing was, my first table, all I had was my folder of paper, basically comic book backing board size, and then I had my portfolio, and that's all I had at my table. No banner, no prints, no nothing else. It looked like I was squatting a table. Like the table was empty, and I just brought my folder and portfolio and sat down. That's what it looked like.
Oh my God.
But luckily for me, I never lost money at a convention. So I'm grateful for that. People actually like my stuff enough to pay for it. But I think if I didn't have the portfolio, I would have pretty pretty much bombed that show.
Do
But
you
yeah, I
do you,
was like totally not prepared.
do you remember the very first picture you sold?
It's probably a Hulk or a Wolverine, because people, that's like one of the two big ones that people request from me. And if you looked at my portfolio, especially back then, there was a lot of Wolverine and Hulks.
So are you still working on sketch cards now, presently?
Currently I'm working on JR Park's Ultraman cards, which I gotta finish soon. He the problem is he never gives you a real deadline. And I think it's important that you have an actual date. Some people, probably like me, need an actual date, so it
Otherwise, you think,
forces me to
yeah.
to
Otherwise,
kind
you
of
think
procrastinate
long.
because it's like there's no real time limit, even though there is one, but you don't know when.
So you prefer to work under pressure. So I have to get this done for this date.
Well, not pressure. I mean, I could work under pressure, but I like to know when it needs to be done.
Mm.
That makes it easier for me to focus on that and finish that.
And organize all your things.
Yeah, I mean, whenever somebody asks me for a commission or whatever, like, uh, I I need to have a time, or else you don't want to keep them waiting. But
No.
but then again, if they don't give you a deadline, it doesn't seem as important
Ah, yeah. Okay.
I
Yeah.
completely
as
understand.
where you need to get it done real right now type of thing.
Yeah. Because
So I
otherwise,
mean, there's different artists. Some people, if you give them a lot of time, it works for them. Others, not so much, because they'll see other things that they think takes priority, because you know the deadline's not there. You think you could work on something else.
mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
Guilt.
But I will get it done. They're mostly drawn. So
So, do you do other work as well, like larger sketches, or do you produce your own sets, or do you paint, or do you do other things in art besides sketch cards?
I've been asked to do other sketch cards, like produce my own, by several people. Um, I don't think so. I'll be doing that anytime soon. I might, but not anytime soon. Um, I've been fortunate to work on a, a music album cover for a Japanese band. I don't know the Japanese band name, uh, but I drew the album cover for them,
That's
so
really
that was
cool.
pretty cool.
Wow. Yeah.
And that was digital drawing. Actually, I drew a sketch on it, on a regular paper, and I showed them, this is what it might look like, and they actually liked that sketch the best. So I just scanned it onto the computer and basically drew over it. So, you know,
Yeah.
I had a whole bunch of sketches done, but they liked that one. So
What's your chosen
um,
digital program that you like to use?
I use Clip Studio Paint, and to me, in my opinion, that's the best drawing program, because it was basically made to draw comics. If
Oh,
you're into comic book drawing, uh, Clip Studio Paint has everything you need to make a comic book. Um, Perspective lines and all that stuff, it's all in there. Anything that's in Photoshop, pretty much you could put in there as far as drawing goes.
Okay.
Um, they do have their lettering isn't as good, but as far as drawing, it to me is the best program,
is it
because it
a
was made for. What's that?
is it a monthly subscription or is it a one-off
No,
payment?
I bought it, like, there's two versions, a regular and a pro. It was like $35 for the regular,
Mm.
and then 64 or $5 for the pro. And the only difference is the professional version, you could actually animate in this program, but it's sort of like drawing in uh, old style animation where you got to draw every frame, but then it's on the computer, so you could just but um the the normal version you could animate up to 5 minutes. The professional you could, I guess, however long, I don't know.
Hmm.
Also, you can import whole books with the professional. At one time, you could import the whole thing. With the I mean, the regular one, you got to do it page by page or something like that. So it's not, you don't really need that professional level one if you don't mind just doing things one at a time. But still, for $35, it's a very impressive program.
Is it PC or is it Apple?
It might be both. I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah. What do you use? Are you
But I'm PC. I don't like Apple because they're too restricting as far as you have to buy Apple products to work with it.
not
I
necessarily?
like PC. I like PC because you could use basically anything. With Apple, you sort of you're kind of confined to Apple products to get things to work.
I might challenge you on that one,
Mostly.
but that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's from what I've known Apples throughout the years, but it probably changed where they're more compatible, but
They are.
they're more pricey too, so
Yes. No argument there. They are more expensive, but they last forever.
It does annoy me that all the chargers aren't the same.
Yeah.
That is annoying. Because Remy left
yeah.
my son left his iPad charger at his nana's, and I says, "Oh, it's okay, just use mine." No,
Yeah.
doesn't fit.
Oh, really? Even
That's
even
absolutely right.
chargers or
Sorry.
no? I was like, even you can't use same type of chargers, so every device is a specific charger that you need to buy. That's
It's
that's
wrong. I
that's
think
the
that's
type of thing I don't want to bother with.
That is crazy. I agree with that.
rude.
Yeah. So okay, so when I started doing sketch cards with the um Marvel Masterpiece 3, I wanted to see what was around. And the internet at that time was kind of new. Um so I looked at eBay and I saw all these sketch cards, and I actually seen Rittenhouse cards, and I was like, oh, look at these guys. It looks like, to me, it didn't look like it was a actual official set. To me, it was just like some knockoff where somebody, because of the framing of the card, it looked like somebody just put a square and then a Marvel sign logo on there. And to me, it looked like a bootleg. So I was like, oh, look at all these bootleg Marvel cards on eBay. And then somehow I found Scoundrel Art Community. And I was like, whoa, it's a whole site just for sketch cards. Uh, People are posting what they are. I mean, the sets they're working on, and things like that. And I just started talking to a few people, and I think forgot what his last name was. George Calloway.
Yes.
He
Yes.
was.
He was known
Yeah,
as Kurt back then.
I think he was the one who got me into Rittenhouse. He like messaged me saying he liked my stuff, and I should message Robert from Rittenhouse. So I did that, and then I got on uh, forgot what it was, but my second set for them, they made me the 9K incentive artist for heroes and villains because they saw that I could draw multiple characters, and uh compared to everyone else, I drew a lot more characters per card, and that was the basis of heroes and villains to have uh 3 or more characters on a card, I think.
Right.
So you put a lot of time
Yeah, and
each card. It doesn't take you like 30 seconds to do a card. You put a lot of time into it.
yeah, and because there were like two cards I did before on a farmer set, that I actually drew 52 characters on the card
What?
because
52.
I wanted to see how many characters I could draw, and it was like 52 full body characters, not just big headshots. So
Can you
I was challenging myself on those cards, and
would you like
well,
to
they're not that pretty because it looks cluttered. Even though you could see each individual character, it's kind of cluttered.
Mm.
It wasn't really planned, but I managed to get 52 on there. And what I learned by doing that is I could actually put more characters in there,
Oh, wait.
because to me a sketch card, when I draw the tiny figures, that tiny space looks huge to me
Mm.
because I'm so used to it. But I had a goal, which I don't know if I'll ever do, but I had a goal of putting like 100 characters on a card, like clear. You don't have to figure out what that character is or whoever it is, but clear that you could just instantly recognize each character.
You
That
may
was my
need
goal.
a strong magnifying glass for that one.
Well, I got thick glasses.
Oh,
Would you like to share that image? Like maybe you can send us the image of that card. Would you like to share it, or would you?
I'll find it and then I'll send it to you.
Okay.
But
Well,
yeah, it's not that pretty. Is
I
but
want to see.
I was known for drawing multiple characters because at the time most people were still drawing headshots.
mm.
They it hasn't progressed to where people were drawing the average sketch card artist wasn't drawing like uh full figure character on a card yet. So I made my name through multiple character cards.
You
And then
found
at first I was like, yeah, I I was kind of annoyed at first because when people were posting all the cards they get, I drew some nice single character cards, but nobody talked about it. They only talked about the 10 or more cards. And I was like, they're not paying attention to my single character cards, which I thought was better than those 10 character cards, you know? But yeah,
people
at first I was like,
they
man,
remember things
these
that are
people.
different and stand out that nobody else is doing. That
Yeah,
just makes
that's the only reason. I think that was the only reason I stood out, because I was drawing multiple characters on the cards, and that was the main reason they got me to be that 9 card incentive artist, because that heroes and villains set was basically you needed to draw multiple characters.
Mm.
Okay. What do you see for yourself for the future? Do you want to keep on with your art career? Are you looking to maybe achieve a goal apart from the 100 card set, the character set card?
Well, I think I'm always gonna draw, even though I might stop for a while, I'll always go back to drawing. Because it's always been there for me, you know. I grew up drawing, so it's hard to completely stop.
Yeah.
You know, you can stop for a little bit, but you're gonna go back.
Yeah.
Um,
Completely understand. Yeah.
yeah, I, one of my goals. Well, at first I used to want to draw for Marvel, but throughout the years that kind of changed. I saw how their process is, and uh, it's a lot of work. I actually did ghost work for a Marvel comic before. Uh,
Fun.
I I helped ink the comic book, Spider-Man comic book, uh, which was cool. But I mean, I got paid. I learned the process, but I have no credit. Nobody knows I did it. So, but
Well,
it was still
everybody does now. They do now.
yeah. I'm not gonna say what issue or whatever, but it was a Spider-Man comic book, and I got paid. It was a great experience. I you get to know how they work, and every step is an approval process. So it's a lot of work,
Yeah.
Mm.
and that's just for inking. So, um, but anyways, eventually I want to make my own comic book because as somebody who grew up with a comic book, with comics, anyone who grew up with comics have their own characters, you know. So I want to at least put my goal is to at least have one book that I will write and draw, even though I'm not a writer, but I want to have a book that I did everything,
Mm.
you know.
Awesome.
So like
Ask
it's
what
actually
your character,
my comic book.
can we ask what the character is that you'd like to do? That
Oh,
you
it's kung fu stuff. I grew up with kung fu. See, like this
I was
this is
looking at
a
that.
small
I mean,
Chinese lion head.
what is
I
it?
used to lion dance.
Oh, it's a with the
Yeah,
yeah.
you know the
I was
yeah
looking
the
Yeah.
at it.
two-man lions. This is just a really small version. The one that I actually use is huge, so I could get in there.
Yeah.
But I used to do kung fu and I used to teach, and then as well as do the lion dancing and teach lion dancing.
Wow, that's cool.
So
Um,
cool.
you founded a group on Facebook called the Sketch Card Fanatics. Are you still a part of it?
Yeah, I'm still a part of it. I'm not as active as I used to be. Before I used to talk to every uh art director. I was like in the inner circle sort of. I was always in contact with the art directors, and artists would people who would get their whole set rejected would complain, and they'd talk to me and I'd look at it. They send me samples of what was rejected, and then I would go to the art director and I'd be like, "Hey, what's up? You know, there's nothing wrong with this. Look, you know." But then I learned that the approval process for official sets, the way I see it doesn't really make sense sometimes because, in my opinion, what they would do is they have people sit on a long table, a group of people who would approve sketch cards, and however that person is feeling that day is how the cards are going to be approved or not. So if somebody's sitting at that approval table is having a bad day, they might reject everything they see. That's how I see sketch card approval process being, because there is no logical way how some of these cards are not being approved, and how some of them are actually approved when they should not be.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean,
that's my way of seeing how it probably is, the process of approval goal. It depends on whoever's sitting at the table and how they feel about their
It may
day.
also depend on, well, as you say, who is at the table, and maybe they're representing some of the actors who were part of that particular whatever, or I don't know.
Well,
well, they
I
do
did
tend
I did one set where I had to do character likeness, a Star Wars set. Not Star Wars. It was Star Trek. And after that experience, I was like, you know what? Forget character likeness sets. It's too picky. There's too many people have to go through compared to sketch cards,
Yeah.
because the actor have to approve it. The actor's representative have to approve it. The actor's representative company have to approve it. Then
Right.
you have, the movie studio, and then you have all these people that have to approve it. So uh unless you have a very good likeness style, you're probably not going to do too well.
Mm.
Yeah, that's pretty challenging.
It's not worth the time, especially when you consider the pay level of sketch cards. It's
Mm.
not worth the time to jump through all those hoops.
So, what platform are you the most active on now? If you're not on your Facebook group anymore, is it still active, the Sketch Card Fanatics?
The Facebook group is still active. I go there once in a while to see what's going on. I mean, I kind of look at it every other day, but I don't have to really be active, because to me the group is pretty much self-run. Everyone basically follow the rules. I have simple rules for it. Basically, as far as artwork goes, sketch card related, because it's a sketch card group. Because I've seen too many groups where they're a specific theme, but then you have all these non-related posts that actually takes over
Yeah,
what that group is supposed to be.
yeah.
And I didn't want that, so I had the rule where it had to be, as far as art goes, it needs to be sketch card related. Also, to share the news feed, you could only post one new post every. And I used to go on the computer and look at the time that people post. When I see like 3 posts from somebody, I'll go on the computer and actually check the time, and I delete the last one just to make sure the news feed is being shared. Because if you don't do that, someone's gonna hog the news feed,
Yeah.
and someone's post is gonna get lost that people might want to see.
Especially when there are a lot of people in the group.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you can make one post and share, over 30 images. You
Yeah.
don't have to make each individual post for every picture.
Reply to yourself, which took me a while to figure that
Yeah.
one out. I'm not that bright.
Well, or even when you start that post, that first post could have multiple images.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
are you more active on Instagram, or are you on what is it now?
I
TikTok?
post a lot more on Instagram.
Are you on Twitter?
Is more convenient because I post on Instagram and it links to Facebook, so it automatically just posts there
Oh,
without me being on Facebook. So
where does it post?
Hmm?
Where does it post? When you post on Instagram and
on your news feed.
oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it goes. You could choose where it goes on Facebook because they're both Facebook owned.
Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah, so it's easy to share that way. There's when you post on Instagram, there's options to where you want to link it to, and it will just post it there for you.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Time saver.
So yeah, so when I started the sketch card fanatics, it was when Scoundrel started dying out. And I was like, man, that sucks.
Does any,
I just got on.
does
Huh?
anyone know why Scoundrel started
Oh, it
dying?
was just I think
Pretty-
a lot of bickering. There was bitter people. Uh there was bitter people on both ends, artists and collectors. They were bitter and they were arguing,
Mm,
and it just went downhill. And it went downhill quick.
mm,
So so I was like, man, Scoundrel was such a nice place. What where would we find all these people? So I just got on Facebook and I was like, what if I just made a group for sketch cards? So for people to hang out, and the way I saw it was Facebook was more instant. You know, you could get instant reactions or whatever from people. So I started the Facebook group, and my idea for it was just for artists and collectors and anybody interested just to hang out. So I gathered a bunch of information. I went to the card companies and asked them if I could post their contact information because before that there was nothing was posted.
No.
mm.
You know, some companies didn't want me to post their contact information for whatever reasons, but
Yeah.
I respect that. But the ones that allowed me to post it, I made a list in the document sections, and the members of the sketch card fanatics could just go through that and try to get work through that way. Um, I had help from members as well, gathering this information because I didn't know everything. I was pretty much new at the time too. Um, but I gathered a whole bunch of information. I made several documents like how to get into sketch cards, um, things you should expect and things like that. And the sketch card fanatics now is actually the second version. The first version, someone deleted some of that information that I put. Some of the documents were deleted. I did not know. So so the new one, there's not people don't have access to some of those editorial controls.
Mm.
I cut that out. I learned my lesson.
Yeah.
So basically, I deleted that old group and I started the current one, and I re-added a whole bunch of people. But before I deleted it, I put a post letting people know that, hey, this group is actually going to be deleted. I'm going to make another one, and if you're
I
still
remember when
interested,
you
come
did
in
that.
and
That's nice to know what happened. I remember when you did that. I don't remember how long ago it was, but I do remember you did that and it was like, wow, what happened there? And you also created, I think it was you that created the frustrated sketch card.
yeah. Um, I created this frustrated sketch card fanatics because I wanted to keep the sketch card fanatics positive because once you let people post those negative things,
Oh, it grows.
yeah, it gets bad. So I made a separate group just for that. But basically the rules is just try to be respectful. No name calling and all that is unnecessary. Be adults. One thing I found out about running a group is you have adults that are basically kids, who can't control themselves sometimes, and that's just, I think that's every group that you, when you have more than two people,
That's
there's bound to have arguments, you know. So the
I had
bigger the group, the more potential for negative posting. Anyways, it was for a way people could still hear about their negative experiences with the sketch card community, whether it be the card company or an artist or collector, and they could post about it and hopefully get some kind of resolution.
that's
or
a really
or
good
if
idea.
somebody has a habit of ripping people off,
Mm,
you can post it over there.
yeah.
If you want to name them, that's up to you. What I tell people is, what you post is none of my business. Okay, your problem with somebody else is not mine.
Mm,
If you want to make an issue out of it, that's up to you. I'm not encouraging it, but you know keep it out of the sketch card fanatics. You can post it over there.
what
yeah.
what did you want to say, Lindsay?
I can't remember now. Conversations moved on. No, that were it. I was going to mention I had a group. It was just for people who like cats. And it grew to like 10,000 people. Anyway,
Oh, you're kidding.
I never do anything with it though. And they're just in there doing whatever. But I got a couple of admins because the group had gone big and it was just me. And people were starting to post dodgy things they shouldn't have been posting. And I was getting people in my inbox complaining. So I got some admin. Anyway, one admin ended up being a right nut job, and she sent me death threats and all sorts. And I was like, so I just stopped. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. So I let one of the other admins take over, and she does it now. But oh my god, I just couldn't believe that.
Cats. You're supposed to be happy with cats.
Mm,
Oh,
the
Yeah.
stuff she was saying, crazy. And I was like, wow. So I thought, no, I don't want to do this anymore.
Well,
Yeah.
I do have Rihanna Owens and I forgot the other person who helped me just keep an eye on things on Sketch Card Fanatics, because um at the time I was slowly stepping back because I think I was too involved in
Mm,
everyone's problems. You
that
know?
it takes up a
uh,
lot of your
I mean,
time.
I was trying to help people, but it when it was getting too much,
mm,
like constantly getting messages and things like that. So I was stepping aside, and also I started limiting my sketch card work because sketch cards could take a very long time, even though it's a very small medium.
mm,
And because of the commitments you make, you need to finish it, right? Sometimes you get opportunities that come that are better opportunities, but you want to be a professional and finish what your
mm,
commitments are. And you have to turn away that better work. So I took less sketch card work so I could leave room for those opportunities.
mm,
And it's a good thing to say no, because when I was new, around 2010, I was getting offers by everyone. Hey, could you be on this set? Could you be in this set? And at that time, it was still minimum 150 per card, 150 cards per set,
And you had to do
at
many, many
least.
more. Yeah.
Yeah, minimum. And at one time, I took on 8 sets,
Oh, no.
and the due dates were almost, within the same week.
Oh God.
So after saying yes, 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 I looked at it and I did the math. It was like, this just way too much.
Oh God.
So so luckily there were a few sets that didn't arrive. Didn't arrive to me yet. So I emailed those people and said, hey, I know I said yes, but actually there's too much work going on right now, so I'm gonna have to drop it. And the thing I tell people is it's not a problem to say no. Saying no is a good thing. It's actually gonna save you a lot of stress.
A
And
lot of
another
stress.
thing is, yeah, if a person or company came to you asking for work and you politely tell them you can't do it, they'll most likely still come back. If you actually still stayed on the project and not finish it, they won't come back. They might not come back.
That's right.
So it's better to say no. When you can't do something, always say no. Don't try to work it in if it's gonna be too much. You don't want to lose all that sleep. It's not healthy.
No.
That was great.
Yeah, one thing I learned is health is more important than any job. And that was the reason I quit my day job. I was a forklift operator, and I used to load and offload trucks, which was fine because I was sitting most of the time because I have plantar fasciitis on both my feet. And I used to be a mailman, but that forced me to quit my job because I couldn't be on my feet too long. It inflames the bottom of your feet, the tendons.
Oh.
So, like when I used to be a mailman, at the time that I quit, I would walk like half a block, and it felt like I was walking on broken glass. So I was like, you know what, this job might not be for me anymore. But I think it was because I was like super active at the time. I didn't have my feet didn't have enough rest. I mean, I walk like 12 miles a day, and then I do kung fu, and then I run and go to gym, played basketball for hours. So no rest. So I probably broke my feet. Anyways, that forced me to quit my postal job. But this time I quit because the pavement on the yard, it had a lot of potholes, so it's bumpy and stuff. And my lower back was hurting, and gradually the ground got worse. So finally, my back was like just hurting every day, and it wouldn't heal. Usually, it'll hurt a little bit, and the next day it'll heal. But it got to the point where it wasn't healing. So I saw this as, well, you know what? It's not going to get better. The floor's not getting better. They're not going to fix it. So instead of having that pain, I was like, you know what? I just go back to drawing. Just do my drawing.
How does it feel now that you've been away from it for a couple of months? How's your back now?
Oh, it's fine. It just, luckily it wasn't so bad where it stayed with me. It was still at the point where it could recover. It just needed more time. I mean, even if I took a vacation, it'll heal. But then as soon as I go back, give it a week or two, it's probably just gonna repeat. Okay. And I didn't want to be in a position where I'm old and then you have a hard time just getting up or just walking.
Yeah.
Health is important. Once you're never getting back.
No.
Especially the back, it's easy to hurt, but very, very hard to heal, if it even heals 100%.
That's very true. Lindsey, but we're going to slowly start closing this out. Are there any questions you'd like to ask?
I think we've been through everything. I mean, we didn't ask you about your materials. I
Okay.
presume Copics and
I'm basically pen and paper guy. I use a number 3 lead pencil because it's sketch cards, and then for coloring I use Copic markers, which I'm transitioning to touch markers, the Shin Shinyan touch markers.
Oh, yeah, I heard
what's the
about those.
difference?
Yeah, oh, yeah, here it is.
There we go. Yeah, I think I've seen
Yeah,
those.
they're just like Copics. I actually the one that I'm showing you, I got as a promotion that they were doing some years ago. They're just like Copics. It's just a different brand.
Okay.
So I'm transitioning from Copics to those because Copics are harder to get and they're more expensive, and you're actually getting less for your money than you used to. So I'm transitioning from that.
How
But
about your inking? Do you use a brush and ink, or do you
nah, I'm
use?
more technical with technical pens, and what I use are the Copic multi-liners,
Mm.
which I heard is also being phased out.
No.
Yeah, which I was like, oh well. I have refills. Like I bought a bunch of refills, so I'm good for a while. Even my Copics, I still have backup bottles. So, but the thing is, I ink with the Copic multi-liner SP, these small
Oh,
ones,
yeah. I think I have one.
because
Yeah.
they could go real small. And I think I'm not that heavy-handed where the tiny nibs would bend or break. You know, heavy-handed people can't use those multi-liner SP, the smaller nibs, because they're too heavy-handed for that stuff. But
That's
that's what I use to get the details, the small details.
Where can people find you if they'd like to go take a look at what you do?
People could find me on Instagram at artist underscore Lak Lim.
Okay. Lak Lim. And are you on Twitter or TikTok?
I'm
Or what?
on Twitter as Lak Lim, but I don't really use Twitter. I post once in a blue moon. I
I
had somebody asking, like they posted, they they replied. I mean, they made a post and linked me into it, and then I saw it later on, weeks later, and they were like, "Hey, are you even using this?" It was like the the post was for me, but I didn't see it till later.
Do you have a website?
I did have a website, but then I didn't make. I stopped using it, and somebody snatched the name, and they wanted like three 3,000. Yeah, keep that website. I could get another. Uh, I don't have to use .com. I could use .net or something. Yeah, but there are people who take website names as soon as you don't
Yeah.
recover it. They'll take it and hold it hostage for they try to make money off of website names.
Sucks. I
yeah.
used to have a Reddit account. Well, actually, I had three of them, and I mean, this is a long time ago. And I had a Doctor Who Reddit thing where I would just write what I thought about each episode of Doctor Who at that time. And somebody came over and just took it away. They said, "No, you can't use it." They locked. I don't know how they did it. They locked me out of my own account. I could not get
They
it.
hacked into your account.
I don't know how that worked. I was like, "Nope, I'm done with Reddit. Bye bye, gone. I'm not going back."
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a good idea to have a website. I just got to go and make a new one because to me it was like simple. It was just my name, you know.
I'm trying to get Lindsay to launch
It's
hers.
easy to yeah. Easy. I mean, if you make a website, you can have a flashy name and stuff like that for it, but I think it's simple just to have your name and it. Like I said before, it's all about branding. If you're gonna post anything about yourself, just use your name. Unless you already uh your studio name or whatever, unless that's already been used for a while. And
Yeah.
if you're starting out, use your name is what I would recommend.
Or at least
And
a name and then
always,
stick with that one.
yeah, and as far as the image goes, don't use some anime avatar or some sci-fi avatar picture. Use your face because that's what people are going to recognize.
Yeah.
And plus it kind of is kind of awkward for some people when they see the avatar and all of a sudden they see you and they're like, you don't match this avatar.
That's a good point. Well, we're going to have to say goodbye for this time, but we'd love to have you back on when you start working on your own comic book, if you'd like to.
Well, hopefully, I think before I do my own comic book, I probably want to do a sketchbook, a collection of my drawings. Yeah, I think I want to do that before I do a comic book. So it is sort of like taking steps. It's a book, a
Yeah.
comic book. It's a sketchbook, and then you'll see my drawings in there.
Awesome. Well, you have to come back when you start working on that then and let everybody know how it's going along with that.
Yeah, I would love to. And I've told you online before that I do enjoy your show, and I watched it. I'm subscribed to it, and I want to thank you for promoting the sketch card hobby because not enough people know about it.
They
You
really
know,
don't.
I used to be at conventions, and I have two pitches for people, short version and long version of what sketch cards are. So if I give everyone a short version, if they sound interested, I give them the long one. But if they don't look interested, or I just give them the short one and just thank them for coming,
Mm.
you know, for a while now. Like every convention I go to. But what I've noticed is more and more people are doing sketch cards, even though they don't know what sketch cards actually are. They just know it's small art cards.
Yeah.
They don't call them sketch cards, they call them art cards or whatever it is they think it is.
That's
But
how
it's
I
the same
first
thing.
discovered them. When I first discovered them, they were being called ACOs, art
There's
cards.
still people calling that.
Yeah. Um,
What was it? It
I
was
had a girl,
Art Collector Edition Originals or something.
yeah, it's Art Collector's Original Edition.
Okay, yeah. AC. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a girl who came to my table one time and she was like, "Oh, look, he does ACOs too." And I was like, "Oh yeah, we call them sketch cards, but um, mainly the fine art people call them ACEO.
But I think the ACEO also
It can be a print."
it can be a print, it can be a collage. I've actually seen some pretty impressive ACEOs where someone has really gone overboard to be creative and they'll take like, I don't know, newspaper clippings and other images and just create something really cool, actually.
Yeah, I mean, the main difference is some of it don't have to be all original art.
No,
With
but you do have to
sketch
tell
cards,
people if it's original or if it's a print or if it's a collage or
yeah,
whatever. You do have to
yeah,
be about that.
but sketch cards have to be original. It can't be printed at all. Even those people who before were, it's a print, but they embellish it. It's still not a print. It's still a print.
Yep.
In my book, if it's printed, it's a print.
Yep, that's absolutely right. We had better say goodbye. But again, we could really continue talking like this for hours. We're going to have you back on as soon as you start with your next project. I'd like to.
Yeah, I would love
all
to
the
come
contact info will be in the description box below to find you. And if you're listening to this on audio, just check out the show information notes and all that, and you'll see how to find Lak Lim there.
Yeah, so, thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure to talk to you. True pleasure.
To me, this is the #1 sketch card show.
We're so proud.
And you guys are doing great promoting the hobby. That's what we need, is new blood.
Yeah,
that's right.
I think there'd be so many people who would love it if they just knew it existed. They just don't know.
Well, you just gotta. It doesn't take a lot to show people what it is. And like I said, give them a short version. If they sound interested, then you give them the long one, because you don't want to waste anyone's time. Give them a short one. If they're interested, they'll want to learn more.
Well, on that note, hi Remy. We shall say bye-bye. Thank you so much, Lak.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Welcome.
And it was great meeting you guys.
You too.
It was great meeting you, Lak, after all these years. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.